I was, before I got out of the service, down in Texas, I was an acting first sergeant. I was a technical sergeant.
Okay.
And I sat down and I wrote a book about everything I went in and everything I did. It's in that book.
July the 15th, right?
Yes,
And tomorrow is what birthday for you?
93.
93. That's amazing.
Or 39. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, I know that you grew up here in Indiana, and your brother, I believe, was drafted, and you volunteered to go.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I had a older brother. He was probably 20 years older, and I figured that he might do a better job farming than I would. So I just wrote Danville and told him I was ready to go.
So you volunteered on
Yes.
his behalf.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it wasn't a week or so. They called me to come over there, and they took me up to where was that airport, or Indianapolis, where they inducted people.
For the military? Was that Atterbury?
Camp Atterbury, that was down south, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I got out.
Okay.
This is up Houston, or
Grissom. Was it Grissom?
there's the Army base up there somewhere where we went first.
Okay.
And then they decided where we needed to go for training. Luckily, I went to Texas. Camp Hood in the mortar. I have trouble remembering a lot of things.
That's okay.
It was the
So
tanks.
Tanks. Okay.
Tank destroyers.
Tank destroyers, and that was what you specialized in, was the
Yeah.
tank destroyers, correct?
That was back in about in 1944 when I went in February. And, we went through that training, and it took 5 or 6 months. Then they decided that they didn't want any more tanks over in Germany, so they sent me to Missouri. It was one of those tanks you drop a bomb in, and
The mortar.
yeah. So they took us training in that, and I got a little excited, and I said, I don't like this. And I said, I'm going to join the airport, get in, jump out of an airplane. But the day they recommended I go down to Alabama, I believe, or no, it was Georgia, they inducted our group to go overseas. So I didn't get into the airport. So then, I don't know, we left New York shortly after that, and we landed over in Scotland. Is that in England? Or?
Mm-hmm.
And then they put us on a little bitty train. There's just a 1 battalion, and shipped us down to London. Well, that was interesting. Got to see the big clock and everything. And I had a good friend. He was more or less an Italian boy, and there was a bunch of soldiers that they'd captured. They weren't Americanists. I think they must have been whatever they were. They had a big supper one night, and my friend got good with them and went over there, and we had pizza. That was different than those sea rations we've been having. So we were there for maybe a week, and then they loaded us all up on a ship and put us across the English Channel and went into France, Le Havre. And then from then on, I was driving our commander around in a Jeep all the time. So he said, let's go over to Paris today. So of course it was very, very quiet over there. Well, I sat in that Jeep while he was up in a big building doing something, and I said, no, I don't like that. And I talked to the sergeant of he had all the machinery and everything. He said, can you drive a truck? I said, you bet I can. He said, I'll get you in one. So they put me into driving trucks, 2.5 ton, hauling ammunition. So one day we went up to Poland and got the mortar boxes. And then, well, that night was coming back home at dark, and we were tired, and he said, pull over here, well, let's get in under this truck and sleep. Well, you could hear the bombing way off at a distance, and directly an airplane went over. I said, oh, be careful now. that could have been a German, but we were lucky. Yeah. So I don't know, we just moseyed on through. Yeah. We went clear across Germany into Austria, a little town on the east coast. And then that's where we met the Russians. And one of those Russians said, you boys drink anything? What do you got? Vodka. It was the strongest stuff I ever tasted. So, well, I don't know. I didn't drink very much, but I wasn't very happy.
What do you think it was? Do you think it was vodka, or do you think it was something that they got out of the gas tanks?
You know, there's a big surprise came to me when Roosevelt died. We were over in there then. That in May, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So then Truman took over, didn't he?
Yes.
And after we were signed to come back home, they said, you're going back and train you to go to Japan, make an invasion there. But you know, on the way home, they gave us a short leave. And while we were on leave, that war ended over there, the islands and all. So, but they sent me on down to Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and finished out till my time to get out of the service.
How was it? What was it like? I mean, how old were you when you went there?
Well, probably 21. I think I was 21 I went in, and maybe the time I got over there, I might have been 21 or a little over, and I think it's about 22 when I got out of the service.
What was it like to be 21 years old in a foreign country? And I don't know if it was scary for you. I mean, I don't know. What was that about? What was it like?
Well, after everything was over, they put us out in our tents. But before we could sleep maybe in a home or something through going one town to another, and if they weren't all torn up, it was terrible. Yeah, those buildings. I think they've rebuilt all everything now, but yeah. One town, Nuremberg. We went there, and there's a beer tavern. Those German or whoever they were had their buckets going to that tavern to get beer. It was free for them, I guess. So and Hamburg went through there, and it was torn up badly. but you didn't see many people walking around. I don't know where they were. They scattered, I guess.
How many people were with you when you were doing your job as a soldier?
Well, there was probably 300 people in our battalion. Of course, then the main, all the ammunition thing, that's just one sergeant taking care of all of that. But I don't know. It's, it's a different group. Yeah. No, I didn't get into very little action, and so I just didn't see too much, and I was glad to get back. I'll tell you, Jim, when we landed, I think we came back to Boston. Is there a port there?
I believe so.
I think that's where we came back to. When we got off of those ships and went into this area where they took care of get us to relief, the Red Cross was there. And we had donuts and milk.
And I'll bet that was the best donuts and milk you ever
That
had.
was a great day. About as good as that flight over to Washington that day.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Have you been to Washington?
Yes.
You like that?
Loved it. Loved
Yeah.
it.
That was a great day for me too.
Tell me about it.
Well, I got up that morning. Well, they had it all arranged for me to go, to be at the airport at 7 o'clock. So I got up at 4 that morning and got my breakfast. And then I go to Scott Gunther for dermatologist, and he represented 30 veterans that day. Paid for their, I believe, no, it was 3. No, it was 30. I think is about $3,000 a piece. One of his workers there, a lady, she escorted me around that day, which was pretty nice. She put me in a wheelchair and started out, and then I walked a lot of times and pushed like I do my cart there. And she is just an angel to me. She lives at Monrovia, Andrea, somebody. So she showed me around, and I think one of the interesting things I seen was the soldiers there at the Unknown Soldiers. You've seen that. It was very quiet, not a sound made. And the soldiers, or the veterans, all in wheelchairs lined up around to hear all that. Some gentleman over about 3 or 4 down the way went to sleep. His helpers quieted him down. Yeah. But I enjoyed the trip. See all the veterans out in the fields, and several of different fields I've seen too. I've got a book about that.
Is it right behind you? Yeah, let's take a peek at it.
That little girl took care of that. You don't have to look at all that crap, but
Well, I'm going to look at it, and I'd like to film some of the pictures in here. I would love to be able to look at some of that stuff.
you bet.
So that was a pretty special thing. What was it like? Now, tell me a little bit about growing up in Indiana, and I understand you lost your father at a pretty early age, correct?
I was 5 when he passed away. He had heart problems. He back years ago he run a huckster through the country with groceries,
Okay.
and that's where he met my mom down at Little Point. And my mom's dad didn't care for my dad. He didn't like for him to bring them groceries around, but evidently somewhere or another they got married. And then she moved to Stilesville, and then my dad had that grocery store there at Stilesville, and then my mother took that over after he passed away. And we had a farm right south of town, 140 acres. And it was badly in debt, but she made the go of it and kept it a going. And well, I I was just a little kid when she had that store, but I grew up, and even after I got married, why, we bought groceries from her. And then I think about 65, she sold that store. And Andrew Robards bought it. Then it's passed 3 or 4 times since. I think they got a tavern or little shop there now.
And you live right across the street from that store, correct?
That's on the south side of 40.
Okay.
Yeah, they did have one on the north side, but it faded away and they moved to the south side. Yeah, I think well, my mother would hire people to work for her. Back when I was a little kid, a lot of them kind of helped take care of me because she was running the store and I was young, and so yeah, I don't know. I think we had a picture or two of that old store, but it finally went away.
All things kind of come and go, don't they?
You bet.
Yep. So tell me a little bit about your garden. I notice, my favorite part of the year is when Margaret brings me Raymond pickles.
Oh,
So,
does she?
yeah, and
Those
she said,
bread and butter.
oh, I could live for those.
Oh, they're a little bit soft on top of the can.
They're so good, though.
Well, I've gardened many years, and then I love to give people some of the stuff. But this year, I'm getting old, and I don't put out as much as I normally do.
Yeah, we'll go out and take some video of that garden. I can see it right from here. That's a lot of. You got a lot of stuff growing out there. See, you got
Yeah.
some sweet corn, and you got a lot out there actually.
That short stuff sweet corn there coming on. Back when I was real young, got married. I like 2 months before I got out of the service, but me and my wife got married, and after I got out of the service, the mail carrier at Stilesville wanted me to substitute for him when he took summer vacation. That was Arthur Rose. After maybe a couple of years, but he retired, and then I carried the mail for a year and a half out of Stilesville down south, 42 mile, I think it was. I didn't get too much money, but it was more than. But I was farming my uncle's farm at the same time. He had 80 acres over there that I was farming, and after we got out of the service, it's hard to get machinery. But being a veteran, why, there at John Deere at Greencastle, they gave me a tractor. Well, I bought it, but
Sure. But they gave you a nice deal.
yeah, it was a little feller. It wasn't not like they got big ones now. But no, they came up to appoint a mail carrier permanently. Well, being as I lived over in Putnam County, I wasn't one of their pay. They said you live out of the county, you can't have it. But Ralph Tudor and I were the only two in the top grades that scored. But he was higher than I was, but he wasn't a veteran, but they'd have given it to me. But, well, there's another veteran, Jim, his name was Jim. You may get tired of me talking.
I'm enjoying every second of it.
Well, but Andrew Robert put me on a farm over there when I was carrying that mail. And then they said, well, you can't have it. So I farmed that farm for 3 years. Then another farm came up for sale east of, well, it's west of Eminence. So I tried to get my uncle to help me pay for it. No, he wouldn't do it. But I went to another uncle, and he loaned me enough to make the down payment. 150 acres, $125 an acre. Can you imagine that? But Mill Creek ran down through there, and it flooded about every 3 or 4 years. So I was down there 7 years. And then Milbert Kendall up at Plainfield, he used to be a banker at Stilesville, but he moved to Plainfield. And then he had a farm, well, Ed, my son's got it now, 300 acres. He said, now you try to sell that farm and we'll put it against this one and then you can pay the difference. So I sold it to my neighbor down there for a little more than what I got paid for it. And then I bought this one, but I think I didn't pay about $300 an acre for this one up here. But now, then there's another 80 acres right north of it sold. I think I paid $400 an acre for that. And then this place sold about $400. And then there's 78 acres here and 40 over there, so I bought them. And my son said, I'm getting married this summer. You're going to have to move because we just had one house. So we came over here and got Claire Gorham up here, and it took us all year to build this house. That in 1978. And well, that's been 40-some years ago, hasn't it?
It's flown by, hasn't it?
So, well, I don't know. My wife Lillian, she passed away about 15 years ago. So I was living here by myself, and I get to take Margie out once in a while, go to Olive Garden. I think we used to go to Long John Silver up there, but she cared. She didn't care.
She just likes to get out.
Yeah. You bet.
Well, I sure appreciate you taking the time, and I think the only other questions I would probably have about your time overseas is, you had, what was the best part of being overseas, do you think?
Of being where?
When you were a soldier, when you were in the war, what was the best part of being over there?
Over in Europe?
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't too many bests, but it seemed very lonesome. I just did what they told me to do. Well, best part was when I got on the ship to come home.
I know that, because in any kind of situation where our lives are at stake and we're doing what we're told to do as soldiers. I was never a soldier. My father was a Marine, so he came into that. You do what you're told. You do what you're told, and he came into that, and You know, when he would tell me about his experience, or Arnie told me about his experience.
You bet.
There were a lot of things that, you know, obviously I never asked about, and he didn't talk much about. And I know that's the hard part of it, the part where you see the people, you see the towns all torn up,
Yeah.
and you don't see the people in those towns, and you think, how could it have gotten this bad?
Yeah.
And then you have to defend yourself, and or your platoon or your buddies or what have you. And I remember Arnie told me the thing that because he was a bridge builder in Sicily, and I asked him one time, I said, was there anything good about that? And he said the same thing you just did. Coming home was the good thing. He said, you know, sometimes we'd have some fun. He says usually it involved a lot of alcohol.
Yeah. Well, the food was good whenever we get together and when they cooked it, but a lot of times those sea rations got a little old. They always had packaged cigarettes in it, about 4 in a package. Well, I give them to people. Finally, I said I'll try one. Yeah, and I smoked for maybe a month or 2, and I said, no, that's nothing. No, I didn't care for that.
Isn't that funny how that is? Yeah, because that's right, they always have
You
4 or
bet.
5 cigarettes in those sea rations. That's right. Was there anything in particular that I maybe didn't ask you about that maybe you'd like to leave for people to know?
I can't think of too much. A lot of things we just don't mention about, and no. There's one couple who came here and asked me how many Germans I killed, and I said, I just can't answer that. No. I didn't. I had a lot of friends from Stilesville over there, but they were a little bit ahead of me. One of them was on the Battle of the Bulge. That was just shortly a few months before we got there, and he was in that. And his name was Kelly up here at Stilesville, but he's dead. And of course, I was younger when I went in. So yeah, a lot of them went in a couple of years before I did. They'd seen a lot more than I did. Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable talking about, what was the hardest thing that you saw?
Yeah. Those buildings torn down was bad, but I think some of those piles of people they burnt, killed, and piled up and buried, and no, that didn't look good. They put them in gas chambers and then burn them and everything. And no, that's terrible.
So you saw all of that over there. Were you in any of the concentration camps? Did you go see any of those, or was this
Never did see one.
So this was mostly people just gathered up in the cities that they gathered up and
Yeah.
killed them and then put them in piles and
A
burned
lot
them.
of the Jews, Hitler did, didn't he? Yeah. No. I never did see him. No. No. There, that said I went to the tank destroyers.
15 March 1944. Induction record, Danville, Indiana. Fort Benjamin Harrison.
Yeah, that's what it was, where they sent us from Danville up there. Then they decided there where to send us.
Your vaccinations.
Yeah.
The companies. This is your company, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
They had one just like that one in the camp where we were at down there at Fort Sam Houston, and I was first sergeant, acting first sergeant, so I copied a lot of out into that and thought, well, maybe I'll use that someday.
Heck yeah. United
It
States
tells just
duty,
about everything we did.
United States duty in England. From New York POE, 3 February 1945. Greenwich, Scotland, 11 February 1945. Left England for France, 24 February 1945. Arrived at Le Havre, France, 25 February 1945. And you stayed there 4 months.
Yeah.
That's amazing. They gave you $40 a month.
40 then.
Yeah. And there's your payment. That's a neat book. I'll definitely get some video of that if that's okay with you. That's really neat. His character is excellent.
Whoa.
His efficiency rating as a soldier is excellent. And that was 8 August of 1944.
Well, we got out of the service down in Atterbury. That's south of us, isn't it? I think that was in April 21st or somewhere along there.
Cowman Bloom, 2nd Lieutenant, 1534th. Joseph Giannotti, Stanley Braun, James Kern. These are different people who must have worked with you at one point.
Yeah.
That's really something else. That's really neat.
Yeah. Not very many could get one of those.
Yeah, how did you get that?
As well, I was acting first sergeant, and while I was there, I just copied it off of everything I had.
That's something.
Yeah. Yeah. Down in the basement, I don't know. You don't have to look at it if you don't want
Oh,
to.
I want to look at it, absolutely.
This is my marriage license.
I'll be darned. 1946.
Yeah.
Lillian Hurst. That's something, isn't it?
You bet.
It says wedlock. Boy, they weren't kidding, were they?
You know, I think I paid that preacher $2 to get us married back then. I thought if I see him today, I'd give him some more. I think I've got a box out there on the entry that's got some Army stuff in it, and that little medal got that star, bronze star. No, I didn't do anything extra. No.
Well, you obviously did something good because you got an honorable discharge.
Yeah. Yeah. There's Lillian, my wife. You've probably seen her, have
I
you?
do, yeah. I met her.
Yeah.
Are these your parents?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that.
Oh, I can see both of you and your kids now. Kelly looks like her mother.
Does she?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So does Mary Jean, actually.
Yeah. Hey, there's a. My mother in her store.
I'll be darned. Oh wow. Look at that one.
Yeah. She's over here That's the way the store was back then. Groceries up here. People just come in. And I know that fellow there, and this is my cousin there. That other lady's one of the star ladies working there.
Wow. I'm gonna take some film of that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. These are.
That's you there, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's a graduation from high school.
What high school did you go to?
Right here at Stilesville.
I'll be darned.
Went 12 years there at that.
Same school, huh?
Yeah. I walked back from the school there to my store. Mom would have my dinner ready. And then back to school.
You don't ain't changed much. Pretty much look the same.
I don't know. I feel like I have. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I want to go out and take some video of your garden.
Okay. Well, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right.
I don't know. There's that one there, Jim. Kind of hid, isn't it?
That's okay. Hit is okay.
I got a German, that thing. Can you see it?
A German bullet?
No, it's behind on this here. One of them.
Oh, a German crosses.
Yeah.
Wow. How'd you get that?
I stole it.
You stole it?
It's out of some fellow's house over there.
You stole it out of some fella's house?
Yeah. And I went in a little gift shop, got the frog, and couldn't carry too much stuff with you.
So where'd you get that German cross?
It was in Germany, and it might have been in Hamburg. A lot of times you just go in the house and see what you needed. I got a few coins that picked up over there. Logan covered it up with a lot of other stuff. I made that box.
You did?
Wasn't that a dandy?
Yeah, it's really dandy.
It's some old antique stuff I sawed out.